Tens of thousands of people have had to rush from their homes in the Los Angeles area trying to save their lives. This after a total of 4 wildfires broke out yesterday. We know of at least 2 people who've died. One of those fires already the most destructive in LA history. Colorado state fire officials say an aircraft is being sent to Southern California to try and help. Thanks for joining us at 4 o'clock. I'm Tom Green.
I'm Kim Christensen. This situation just continues to worsen. It's devastating. The fires have already destroyed 1,000 structures, even as thousands of firefighters are working on the fire lines. And they're really at the mercy of the high winds that don't seem to be dying down at all. The Palisades fire that's closer to the coast is nearly 16,000 acres in size, while the Eaton fire near Pasadena has burned more than 10,000 acres. The other 2 fires are smaller, and one about 500 acres, the other about 30. None of the 4 fires has any containment.
We have been in constant communication with both our fire and law enforcement partners across LA County and beyond to ensure that all available resources that are needed are being deployed strategically and effectively, but we are prioritizing life over everything else.
As we watch the wildfires and just hear so many sad stories in California, it's hard not to think about the Marshall Fire, the one that devastated our community 4 years ago.
Yeah, experts are now talking about the similarities that exist between the two and how they started and how they could have been mitigated. 9 News reporter Jaleesa Irizarry explains.
Yeah, I could look at these all day.
The images coming out of Southern California force people to feel.
It's devastating.
Einar Jensen can only hope.
Completely.
Destruction can drive
change.
In 2021, the Marshall Fire killed 2 people and destroyed more than 1,000 homes across Boulder County. In the 4 years since then, a lot has changed. But Jensen fears too much of the current California wildfires feel the same.
There are similarities between the fires in Southern California and our Marshall Fire here in Colorado, not the least of which is that both are, or all of them, are wind-driven wildfires. And then, of course, we also have the conflagration aspect, where it's not just embers landing on homes, it's homes igniting homes. And so there are a ton of similarities, unfortunately, between those fires.
Jensen is the risk reduction coordinator at Evergreen Fire Rescue. He educates people on how to mitigate their homes to try and keep fires like this one from spreading.
We still plant trees around our homes and shrubs around our homes that are full of resins that ignite quickly.
Jensen looks at the images coming out of California and sees the problem. Unknowingly, a lot of what surrounds the homes fan the flames.
If this home catches fire, that radiant heat is going to rip through this vegetation rapidly and endanger this house. You can see the brownish grasses out in front. This home could have used more mitigation.
Property mitigation is not the only answer. Jensen believes changing how we build homes and where we build them could be crucial in keeping these photos in the past.
I see tragedy, but I also see a tragedy that could have been mitigated so that it would be less devastating on the community.
Jensen says Evergreen Fire offers home risk assessments to their residents. That's when they walk your property and identify things that may need to be mitigated. If anyone is interested, he encourages them to contact their local fire department via non-emergency line to see if they offer it. Reporting in the studio, Jaleesa Irizarry, 9 News.
I mean, we've been watching these things in horror, and we watched the same thing with the Marshall Fire. Now is the time. Reach out. I mean, most of these people live in these beautiful areas because they love the view and they love that space, but you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very similar to the Marshall Fire in that sense too, right? It's such a beautiful area where you had the beautiful mountains and whatnot, but this is hopefully a reminder to a lot of people that this can happen anywhere at any time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jaleesa.
As far as today here in Denver, a cold start to the day, but the sun came out, warmed things up. Might see another rough morning, though, tomorrow as well. So let's get over to Kathy Sabin, talk about today's warm-up, but what's coming our way as well.
It's an active week of weather. We've got 3 storms this week that we're dealing with. One that moved through yesterday, a break today, the next one coming in tonight. National Western Stock Show Parade was supposed to kick off at noon tomorrow, and fears of snow, wind, and ice have pushed it to 1 o'clock. So we're watching that forecast very carefully because livestock managers are worried about the very large animals that are going to be walking down the streets of downtown Denver. And if it's slippery and icy, they don't want to have any riders fall or have any issues with the trailers, the rigs, or those big longhorns. So watching that forecast carefully. And I know it's hard to believe there's another round of snow coming tonight when we've got sunshine and 40s in downtown Denver. A beautiful day up and down the Front Range. But the next storm already approaching northwestern Colorado. We are tracking that storm as it comes in after midnight. The morning drive will have snow falling, windy, cold conditions. It's a short-lived event. It's done by mid-morning, but it's going to stay very cold tomorrow afternoon with a very brisk north wind. Our temperatures 42 in downtown Denver, 39 at the airport, still 21 in Greeley and 35 in Fort Collins. Winds are picking up over elevated terrain, kind of quiet at the surface. And this is the system moving in from the northwest that will be here after midnight tonight. So National Weather Service has put out a winter weather advisory south and east of Denver and over southern Colorado for 2 to 4 inches of snow, but it's the gusty winds that could create the big issues tomorrow morning. I'll have more on that coming up.
The Park City Ski Patrol Union reached a tentative agreement today with Colorado-based Vail Resorts. The deal is expected to end the weeks-long strike that nearly shut down the ski area in Utah over the holiday season. Back here in Colorado, Ski Patrol unions are already taking the lessons learned in Utah and bringing them here to the negotiating table. Vail Resorts says it's already in talks with the Keystone Ski Patrol Union. Keystone and Breckenridge both have contracts up this year.
When our contracts are up and we're at the negotiating table, we're going to be looking at what Park City has gained, and we're going to be expecting the same.
Coming up on Next with Kyle Clark at 6 p.m., we will take you inside the negotiations with Keystone, what happened today, and we'll hear from the team leading the talks.
The Arapahoe County coroner has identified the 16-year-old girl who was shot and killed during a home invasion in Aurora on Tuesday morning. It was about 6:15 when two men got inside the apartment in this 10,600 block of East Jewel Avenue. A fight ensued with shots being fired, hitting the teenage girl. She later died at the hospital. The coroner's office has identified her as Audrina Arrington, and Denver Public Schools says she was a student at Denver's North High School. Police are still trying to determine who those two men are.
A couple from Greeley ended up in the hospital just hours after their wedding. They were involved in a bad car crash with a semi on I-70. Now the wife is staying by her husband's side as he continues to recover at St. Anthony Hospital in Lakewood. 9 News Northern Newsroom reporter Amanda Gilbert says she remembers everything.
It's easy to forget how quickly the best of times can turn into the worst of times.
I thought he was dead.
Zoe and Cameron Thomas met in high school. They started school together at the University of Northern Colorado, and they kicked off 2025 by getting married on January 2nd.
It was so perfect. I don't think anything went wrong that whole day.
Nothing went wrong that Thursday.
We got married at 4 p.m. and we were in the accident at 11 a.m. on Saturday.
The two were on I-70 headed to family in Colby when they hit a patch of black ice.
Fishtailed into the ditch. We rolled 1.5 times. We got hit by a semi, which pushed us right back into the ditch.
Zoe felt like they went from I do to the ER.
I looked over to my brand new husband and he was unconscious. And of course, I meant every word of it in sickness and in health.
Their cars seen leaving the wedding with balloons and just married sprawled across the window. It now looks like this.
All of our gifts, my wedding dress, everything was in that car, just scattered across the highway.
Luckily, Zoe survived with just a fractured pelvis. Her husband fractured his skull and broke his back, but he'll recover.
It's very miraculous that we're alive. I mean, the same people who saw me cry at my wedding to do the exact same thing, like in the opposite of circumstances, like the happiest and the saddest of times. People have just like been there for us, the same people.
And that means so much.
Yeah, the couple's unopened wedding gifts, cards, they were all destroyed or damaged in the crash. But again, they're okay. That's what's important. And they're hoping to leave the hospital this weekend. Amanda Gilbert, 9 News.
Wow, when you look at that accident, they're very lucky. Even though you hear about those injuries, they're really lucky.
Yeah, they were involved with a semi. That's scary.
No, we wish them the best. Things can only go up from here, right?
You bet, you bet.
Okay, thanks, Amanda.